Russia's economy is in free fall. Do you know what occurs when a cruel dictator is out to destroy his neighbor? What happens is that you end up with a country whose economy is about to collapse. Renowned billionaire Warren Buffett has resolved to avoid any investment targeted at the Russian market, and how, with the current condition of Russia's economy going down the drain, it looks his instinct has been right all along. Curious as to why? Keep watching to learn the reasons why the Russian economy will inevitably collapse. Because of the sanctions that are destroying the economy, Russia's economy will inevitably collapse. Sanctions are bad, as you are aware. In fact, despite possessing a well-developed military, several terrifying but subtly revealed revelations indicate that the Russian economy is about to collapse. Over 600 billion enterprises have left Russia as a result of the extraordinary sanctions imposed by the West. Due to this reality, they were essentially destroyed throughout the 3 decades of foreign investment undertaken after the Soviet Union officially disintegrated. Simply put, Russia's GDP is little around $1.4 trillion. Consequently, the nation's GDP has been destroyed by the sanctions, to the tune of 42%. Well, more than 1,000 firms have stopped operating since the invasion of Ukraine. It is safe to assume that sanctions have resulted in a loss of 12 to 15% of direct unemployment based on the Russian data. Additionally, another 35 to 40% of the Russian labor force is unemployed. Additionally, one could argue that one of the causes of this is the idea that one man's income is another man's expense. If 12 to 15% Russians are unemployed, that means they will stop buying and selling as well. The majority of businesses in Russia are dying off daily, and the few businesses that are still open are having a hard time surviving because there isn't much for people to buy. The collapse of the nation's economy has resulted in a sharp rise in product costs. Large stores and businesses that once employed over 100 people have closed. Despite what anyone may say, the neighborhoods are deserted, and it doesn't seem like the economy will improve anytime soon. The nation's consumer expenditure has likewise sharply declined. The information and statistics that Russia releases to the public during the annual shareholders meeting of Berkshire Hathaway has always made Warren Buffett leery. Buffett remembered how, based on the information he was receiving, Walter Rickon asserted in 1988 that the sovereign government never defaults. In the end, the Russian authorities disproved his data. In the modern world, it is clear that the Russian government is tampering with the facts to preserve its reputation. Despite the economy showing clear indications of collapse, they are likewise ignoring reality. The Russian people are notorious for one thing, though. They all have a fundamental defect and are reliant on the Russian government. Putin has been hiding crucial economic information from the broader public, utilizing some data. He has been informing the West falsely about the state of the economy by fabricating economic data. Right now, it would be completely incorrect to buy into such misinformation. However, a professor by the name of Jerry Sonnerfield has used direct data sources to uncover the genuine facts about the Russian economy. According to Jerry's research, the world will eventually learn about Russia's dire economic predicament. Putin is withholding crucial information and has given the people alternative explanations, such as the economy is doing well. But since this hasn't been supported by evidence, how can it be true? Russia imports at a relatively low rate. It's important to be concerned because the rates are dropping regularly. Imports are typically viewed as alternatives to local goods and services. In a different perspective, local companies ought to be able to gain from fewer imports. The situation in Russia is different, since local firms there no longer have access to the resources required to produce their own goods due to the country's severe fall in imports. Due to this, the majority of products have essentially disappeared. Russia has attempted to use illegal imports to fix the issue, but that hasn't been simple for them. The unlawful importation takes place in the gray market. It is frequently referred to as parallel importation. This is due to the fact that it is an illegal avenue through which outside parties can import goods directly from one country. In other words, without the manufacturer's express authorization, third parties will import goods from one country and sell them in another. However, Russians attempted to use the gray market to mask the importation problem. The value of the imports into Russia is roughly $16 billion. Sadly, those products are still insufficient to address the problem of importation in Russia as a whole. Secondary sanctions are those applied by a country to all ties to the sanctioned country. In this situation, this would entail severing ties with Chinese companies and assisting Russian commerce. In February 2022, Vice Chairman Charlie Munger of Berkshire emphasized his personal caution regarding Russia during the Daily Journal's annual meeting. When asked why, Jeffrey Gundlach, another well-known investor, responded that China is an uninvestable country because of the risks associated with data, government seizures, and U.S.-China tensions. Additionally, he was eager to invest there, but Charlie Munger stated he felt the same way about Russia as Gundlach does about China. He continued by stating that he does not have any investments in Russia. Consumers and wholesalers both value imports highly, but exports are much more crucial, particularly if Russia continues to bankroll the conflict in Ukraine. The quality of customers and its energy goods have significantly decreased, according to the Russian government. Western oil and gas sanctions are to blame for this, since approximately 40% of Russia's GDP comes on the sale of energy. You could say that this is very worrying for the Russian economy. Putin, though, insists that there is no need to be concerned because he would be selling most of the energy resources to India. The truth is that things are not always as simple as Putin makes them seem, and selling natural gas is particularly difficult. This is due to the necessity of pipes. It takes time to build pipelines, and transportation is crucial. Setting up planning and construction is necessary. It takes years just to construct something. Putin continues to insist that he can simply sell the liquefied natural gas needed for shipping. That way, it is prepared. Once more, this is wholly untrue, because Russia produces less than 10% of the world's liquefied natural gas. The remaining 90% of oil and gas must be transported from Russia to Europe via a network of pipelines. However, due to the European business embargo against Russia, these pipelines are no longer in operation. Russia has always been cautious when handling its oil. Warren Buffett made an investment in Salomon Brothers, a bank owned by an oil business, in 1987. Buffett attempted to remove the drilling equipment from the area following the oil drilling operation because they weren't friendly. One of the biggest oil-producing firms in Russia, they provided a ridiculous justification. They lowered their output by 36%, which shows that the gas market is deteriorating. It's only a matter of time before the Russian economy completely collapses, given the current state of affairs.